What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host today, Rockin Robbie Bills, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Dynamite Conversations. That's right, now our new Friday show. Instead of the topic-driven show with Rex and Amy and all that kind of stuff, we decided to do something different. And so now every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, you're able to come here. There should be two conversations about upcoming projects from Dynamite Comics involving the creators. So today we're kicking it off. We're going to be talking about Karma Volume 2, and it's written by a gentleman named Dan Wickline. And so we brought him onto the channel to have a conversation with you. So let's bring him in right now. It's Dan. What is up, my man?
Not much. How you doing, Robbie?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Good, good. I feel kind of like I should have like a title in front of Dan, you know, like Digging Dan to go with Rockin Robbie, so we can do the whole 70s Marvel thing.
Yeah, we love alliteration here. So next time you're on, if you want to do that, please do. That would be great. Wait, what'd you say? Digging Dan? I like that.
Digging Dan, yeah. I don't know. It's the only thing that popped in my head.
I can actually change your name. Check this out. This is really fun. Boom. Look at that. Rockin' Robbie and Diggin' Dan, everybody, here to talk about Karma Volume 2. I just read Karma Volume 1 yesterday. It was something that I actually had a few special orders at my shop. I run a shop, right? And I had a few special orders for this, and I picked up one for my girlfriend. But we recently have been moving her, so her copy is in a box somewhere. I have no idea where it was, so I had to get Nick to send me a copy. I read it last night. I loved it. It's erotic fiction, right? But it was like easy. It wasn't like super heavy-handed. It wasn't super dark. It wasn't like Poison Ivy or Red Shoe Diaries or anything like that. But it had this like nice sense of fun about it that I really, really enjoyed. Plus, it had a lot of sex. And so I'm super into stuff like that. But Dan, why don't you tell us like about Karma, what it is, and why Volume 2 is something that everybody needs to go support. By the way, link in the description below.
All right, Karma is kind of an interesting little beast in that I've been writing comics for way a long time now. Almost 30 years is when I did my first comic, and so I got that experience. But I was also a photographer for a big chunk of that time, and I spent a lot of time around models and stuff like that. And it's a very different world. It's a very different attitude. You know, the things that we're all uptight about and restricted about, they're very open to. You know, it's a much more free world. And I don't necessarily mean that it's just wild and insane. You know, this is not like Studio 50 or 54 all the time. It's a lot more liberal, a lot more open. And Nick had come to me and said he wanted to do this type of a comic. He wanted a slice of life, romantic, erotic book. And I'm like, okay, I have some ideas. And what I did was I combined this idea for a romantic relationship story, you know, like kind of a rom-com, but mixed in with more eroticism and some things from my real days as a photographer, some of the odd moments I found myself in, or, you know, just the differences I learned. So I used that as the basis of it to tell this story about a very straight-laced, normal guy, just your average everyday guy who, because of the way Carlos Renault draws, looks amazing. And he's a advertising photographer.
I love that you say a normal dude. This dude is super jacked and sexy himself. You know what I'm saying?
I know. That wasn't how I described him, but Carlos does a good job. So it's like young Chris Evans working in an advertising agency as a photographer. And I've always been fascinated by advertising photography, because there's a lot of tricks and stuff to it. Like, you know, if you ever see a picture of ice cream in a magazine, it's not ice cream. It's mashed potatoes that they then doctor up to look like ice cream, because under the hot lights it would melt. And so I take the guy from that world and I drop him into the modeling world with an up and coming supermodel, and you get the meet cute set up, the whole thing. So it's just it was a fun story to tell, and you're right. I didn't want it to be real heavy or dark, but I also wanted it to have a story, about trust and betrayal, and and also just the genuine relationship things, the cute little things that happen when you're getting into a relationship. So we did that as a Kickstarter back in 2022. It did
right.
well. Yeah, it did well. And Nick's like, let's do another. So I just carried the relationship on from there, thinking, okay, what's the next step? Well, you found someone, you have feelings for them, you're starting a relationship. What usually happens next? Well, the rest of the world starts crumbling down on you, and all these outside pressures start, and you got to figure out, are you going to be able to keep this relationship going and growing while everything around you goes to hell, basically? And that's kind of what volume 2 is, but it's done in Karma's world. So there's still a lot of sex. There's still a lot of strange moments that, sound like the start of a Penthouse letter. And I decided to bring in a character who is a former child actor turned pop star who's having a hard time changing her image of the wholesome child star to being a more sexy pop star.
So you get like a Britney, Miley Cyrus type character in there.
Exactly. And what's funny is I wrote this about a year ago. So it's, it just took a while to get around to it. And there are some parallels I see now in what these two are having to deal with to like Travis and Taylor. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Just, Travis has got this level of fame. He's used to being recognized around Kansas City and around football stars and stuff. And Taylor Swift is like up here. And suddenly Travis is in that stratosphere just by dating, and it just changes your life,
Yeah, I'm really excited to check out Volume 2. Nick told me that he would be able to send me a copy of Volume 2, and even though it's all already done, so if you back it up on BackerKit, it's done, it's ready, it's going to come, right? Mm-hmm. But like, they were like, oh, we haven't actually put the files together right. So I didn't actually get a chance to read Volume 2, but I read Volume 1 last night. It was a super breezy read. And I mean that in a very positive way. Like a lot of comics sometimes, they get bogged down by like the serious nature of it, or they're overly verbose. Like your dialogue flowed very, very well. And you hit all of those moments too, where it is the story of a blossoming relationship. And a lot of us have been in this position where you meet somebody, a potential partner, their world's a little bit different than yours, right? This makes me think of even things like Chasing Amy, right? Where you got Holden in Chasing Amy who meets Alyssa, and it's a whole world that he's not ready for, but he has the courage to dive into it and explore it, right? And that's what Alex does in Karma. And it's definitely, I guess what you're saying is it's going... the way that his relationship with Karma changes because of the fame of Karma in book 2, that's very appealing and intriguing to me.
Yeah, because, I mean, once you get into that world, then you start finding... It's a very interesting world in that you open the door a little bit, and the people inside are like, come on, let's go. And you got to get sucked into it. And that's a little what Alex has to deal with in book 2. Also the constant change, like I said, in relationships, but then you also get this chaotic factor of this pop star dropped in as well. But the world is very interesting. Like I said, I have nothing negative to say about the people or stuff I've worked with. I've loved all the models and other photographers I've gotten to work with, but it is a very strange world. There's a scene in the first book where Alex is talking to Anna, and they're having a conversation, and Anna needs to take a shower, and she, to her, she just says, well, come on, and doesn't take him in the shower, but basically has him stand in the bathroom so they could continue the conversation while she's showering. There was a model that I knew that I became good friends with, and that was normal. I would go visit her, and I had a girlfriend at the time, but she became this good friend and would actually come over and visit my girlfriend and I.
Was she showering when she would come to visit y'all?
Well, no, it got to the point.
She's just always perpetually showering. She's like the Karate Kid with the Halloween costume.
Yeah, just like a cloud hanging over her, water pouring down. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there was a time that I went to go see her at some point that she wasn't nude at some, for one reason or another. And it was always a perfectly natural reason. And my girlfriend didn't believe me. She's like, that's just weird. And then we were over at her apartment one time talking and hanging out. And there was an instant, well, okay, let me get changed. And she just walked over her closet and stripped down and changed. And my girlfriend was like, that really happens, doesn't it? I'm like, yeah, because they don't care, all that. So it's just a very different world, And it was interesting trying to combine the two because I've lived in that world for a while, and I've gone to adult film sets during filming and stuff like that. And it's not as weird as you think it is. It's also not as overly sexy as you think it might be. I spent 16 hours on an adult film set for when they did remember they were doing parody movies of superheroes?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember those well, Dan.
Yeah. I got invited to cover, it was back when I was working for Bleeding Cool, and I got invited to cover the Supergirl porn parody. And I missed the normal media day, so they had me come out on a different day where they're filming group sets, and you're sitting here watching this for a while, and an hour goes by, and you're like, I'm going to go in the other room and just kind of relax. I just tired of watching, And then you go around the corner, but you can still hear it, and it sounds like a swarm of zombies. It's just a very surreal world. And that's, and I tried to bring that into Karma,
Yeah, you did it very well, man. And one of the other things I really appreciate about the book Karma that I read last night was you're representing polyamory, and it's not something that usually gets represented in comics or much fiction to begin with. And to so many other people, it seems like a weird thing that people have multiple partners. They're okay with their partners having multiple partners. And you did a great job of portraying that in a non-judgmental way and showing Alex like entering that world, but being down for it because of his affection for Karma, right? And he thinks he's doing the right thing. They have a little bit of a kerfluffle. It's your typical romantic comedy end of Act 2 moment where she catches him with another woman. And then it's just a really cool book. And you got great characters. I like that you mentioned a rom-com influence because it's there, especially with the conversation between Alex and his friend, right? Like those are the conversations I've had with some of my friends where like, man, you must be so lucky. I'm like, it's not about luck. It's about just being open to things, right? And being able to like exist and I don't know, like grow yourself and try to change or whatever. I don't know where I'm getting at now, but I really do like the representation of polyamory because it's not something that we typically see. Was that important to you, or is that just something that you observed within this model world?
Well, it is something I observe in the model world, but also it's important to me because I think the number one problem relationships have is jealousy. And, and the forbidden fruit. Basically, a lot of guys will end up straying because they're not allowed to. A lot of women, they're not allowed to. If the restriction is taken off, then perhaps the draw to do that actually becomes less. If I push a button on a big red button and I say, don't push that, you want to push it. Now, if it's just a red button there, are you going to put? I mean, you go to a doctor's office and there's a red button on the wall, for emergencies and stuff. Do you have an urge to push it? Maybe. But when it says don't push, you want to push it.
Yeah.
And I've always thought about that in relationships. And I was married for a while and I had an open marriage. And it was a situation where we agreed upon that, but I had never had any intent on doing that, or utilizing that option. And I don't think she did either, but by having that setup, it took away that whole, this is the only person I can ever do anything with. And, it just, this ridiculousness, and also the whole possessive thing, that's mine, no one else can. It just, all jealousy and all that just really messes up a relationship. And if you can put that aside and get it out of the relationship, I think it actually makes it for a healthier relationship, because you're there with that person because you want to be there. And you don't, fool around with somebody else because you're happy with the person you're with, not because it's not restricted or because it's restricted.
Yeah. Yeah, or because you meet somebody you have a genuine connection with, right? And then
right.
And when that works and when that happens, I mean, I really appreciate that. Me personally, it's in my personal life, that means a big deal to me. And you don't see it a lot in comics. Like recently, we've seen it in Jason Aaron's Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, which was a great book. But Karma, not as dire of a situation as that book, because it's about the apocalypse and all that kind of stuff, right? And I like that you approached the erotic comic without having those, because I feel like almost, I don't read a lot of erotic comics because there's not a lot of them out there. I think a lot of people are scared of them, right? But I'm a big horror fan. So the more bloody, the more sexy, the more sleazy, the more subversive, the more transgressive, the more I'm into that, right? Because it is that rebellious attitude. Like, you tell me I can't watch something or enjoy something or read something, like I'm going to want to check it out, right? Like that, like what's so taboo about this, right? So I think that there's an important level of that. These are themes and ideas and even like content that needs to be explored in fiction that sometimes a lot of people are scared to do today, right? And most people would take the erotic comic and they would go that Red Shoe Diaries, Poison Ivy kind of right. Now, by the way, I got the entire Poison Ivy collection on Blu-ray from Scream Factory. I'm into that. I used to watch Red Shoe Diaries back when it was on, what was it, Showtime, I think it was, with David Duchovny back in the day. Yeah. Like, I used to love that stuff, right? For different reasons. But like, I love that you didn't go into those tropes, that you did take it from more of a rom-com kind of idea. But is it important to you to like, that there should be like erotic comics on the market? It shouldn't be something we shy away for. This is a level of fiction that is right there ready, that people want to consume, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no different than film or television, in that creators should be able to tell the story they want to tell, and the audience should be able to find the stories they want to. And yes, there are limits. But if it comes to erotic fiction or horror movies or whatever it is you want, and as long as it's legal, then it should be available. And but every time I see something like this, like an open relationship, it's portrayed as the problem, or it's like you never find a sitcom that somebody's in an open relationship,
right?
My Two Dads doesn't count.
Yeah. And Family Matters have been way different if they were accepting a polyamory.
Oh yeah. I mean, Three's Company,
right?
Different with that.
Yeah, there you go.
But, and that's the thing is, I want to normalize these. I mean, it's a different lifestyle, but it's not a bad lifestyle. It's not a taboo lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with the people that live this way. And one of the things I wanted to do was just normalize it as much as possible. And the way I do that is I try to write it that way, but every once in a while it needs grounding. It's the John McClane moment. The reason Die Hard works is not because Bruce Willis is a great actor or because all those things play into it, but there is a moment in every Die Hard movie where Bruce Willis turns to the camera and does, "Can you believe this?" Like, he shares with the audience, this is not normal. I'm jumping off of a building tied to a fire hose with no shoes on. This is not normal. And I have those moments, and they're usually brought up by Eddie, his best friend, where he reminds him that, these are not normal problems. These are real. In the second book, there's a moment that Eddie goes, "These aren't real world problems. These are alternate world problems."
I'm glad thank you for reassuring me that Eddie is in book 2. So that's all.
He doesn't have that big a part, but I had to bring him back in because he's just a fun character. And again, he's that reality check moment, Yeah. And I think you could do that in any kind of writing. Is you can get as fantastical as you want as long as there's a grounding moment. And for, like I said, for the Die Hard movies, it's when he acknowledges how bizarre everything around him is.
Yeah.
And I think that this needs as well, because it is a very different world. So for the audience to feel that it's not just a fantasy world, they need that grounding. They need that touchstone to go, okay, yes, this is weird stuff, but it's not bad. It's just a different world.
Yeah, different doesn't mean bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned the Die Hard thing. We just recently covered all 5 Die Hard films here for the beginning of Action Fest and Pop Culture Philosophers. And you're right, there is that moment in every single one of those movies. Another franchise that we covered a couple years ago that is one of my favorite action franchises is Lethal Weapon. And you get that every time Danny Glover goes, "I'm too old for this shit." You know what I'm saying? Where it like grounds it and brings it back down to a little bit of a reality. And I love that because like in the first book, Karma, who's very open with her sexuality, she's got multiple partners. She's cool with inviting Alex into this world. But when she sees Alex with another woman, it like strikes her weird. And that's even something that people in these situations, in these relationships, they still deal with jealousy, right? But they deal with it in a different and, in my opinion, more healthy way sometimes.
Yeah. And part of it is because Alex doesn't come from that world where Anna, multiple partners, no big deal. Karma's no problem with that sharing. But Alex, that's not the norm for him. So to see that, it's like, okay, it strikes her that it means more to him, type of thing. So,
yeah.
You were talking about Lethal. Another one is John Wick. You know, I mean, if you just put out there, "Oh, John Wick is this ex-assassin, he gets angry and he goes and starts killing off all these people, and it's just going to be a bloodbath," I think people go, "Why would I want to watch this?" They killed his puppy. I'm in. Let me get
that's
some
like
more
one
more.
of the roughest moments I've ever seen in a movie is when that happens, and you're just like, kill all of those dudes, man, please.
Oh yeah. I mean, you literally are rooting for somebody who has spent his entire life killing people, and you're rooting for him to kill people.
Yeah.
It's not a redemption arc or anything like that. And I think it's just a different type of storytelling. And with Karma, and it's not the same story, but as long as you're following the characters and you're telling a good story, it doesn't have to be the world that as you think it should be.
Yeah.
What
I love about the first Karma book was that it didn't feel inauthentic. It didn't feel like just a fantasy, right? And that's something that Eddie tells Alex, is like, you're living the fantasy. But no, he's living a real life with real human emotions, and he's dealing with it the best he can. And it works out in Karma 1. We'll see what happens in Karma 2. You've been writing for a while, Dan. How did you get into writing?
Because I can't draw.
Nick Patera, a good friend of the channel, that's the first thing he said. He goes, every comic book writer is somebody who can't draw.
Yeah. I can draw well enough to get my point across or design a character. There's back when I was doing Sinbad for Zenoscope, I actually did the layouts for a couple of the covers and then got the artists to draw them and stuff like that. But I'm not on comic book artist level. But when I was 11, I was collecting comics, and a friend of the family said, "Hey, there's this little convention in LA." He basically asked my mom if he could take me. And I get there and I met three people. Walter Koenig, which suddenly I became a Star Trek fan. Caroline Munro, suddenly I liked women.
Beautiful horror icon right there.
Oh, yeah. And Jack Kirby. And Kirby was
You met Jack Kirby? I'm so envious, Dan. I want your life. I want that section of your life. I never got to meet him. That was, oh man.
11 years old. My buddy goes, I don't even know who Jack Kirby is. He pulls one of he gets me a comic out of the bin, goes, "This is Kirby. It's a Captain America book. Says you should get it signed." And I'm like, okay. So I go up there and I talk to him for a minute, and he is just so genuine and nice. And I was like, oh my God. And I walked away and I'm like, I want to get more of his books. So I ran around trying to find something in my price range because I'm an 11-year-old kid. I don't have much money. But I ended up getting all 15 issues of the Black Panther series from the 1970s. And I run over to get them signed, and he's gone. And I'm like, oh, his signing's over. But my friend sees him going up the escalator. That this was in the basement of the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. He's like, there he is. And I ran after him. I catch him in the lobby. He had just ran into someone else, and they were chatting. And they noticed me and like, "Jack, you have a fan." And he ended up standing there on a side table in the hotel, signing all 15 books for me. I'm taking them out of the bag, handing them to him. His friend is putting them back in the bag. We have a little assembly line going. And I walked out of that convention going, I want to work in comics. These are the greatest people ever. I've been reading them since I was 5, but to actually see the people and realize that this is a job, these are people who love doing what they do. And that's when I start making my own comics and drawing and stuff, and just eventually realized that I didn't have the talent for the art, but I can talk and I can write dialogue, and just kind of went from there.
Dude, that's awesome, man. You just actually elevated Kirby even higher in my mind, and I didn't think he could be elevated any higher, because to me, Kirby is like God of comics, right? Like there would be no comics today without Jack Kirby. There'd be no MCU. There would be a lot of things that would have never have happened without Jack Kirby, right? And you telling me that story, that like makes me feel like Jack Kirby just feels like such an authentic dude, which your work in Karma feels very authentic. So it's on Backer Kit right now, book 2, right?
Before we go, I do want to give a bookend to that story real quick.
Okay, please do.
In the early 2010s, I had an opportunity to go to a little awards dinner for Stan Lee. And I had never met him before, but there was a little meet and greet afterwards. Everybody had a chance to go up and get him to sign something. I didn't care about him signing something. I just wanted to talk to him for a second. And I got to sit down with him, and I told him the story that I just told you guys. I told him about meeting Jack when I was 11 and how it got me into comics and stuff like that. And Stan just locked in on me, listened to the whole story, and I watched as tears welled up in his eyes thinking about Jack. And right then I was like, okay, I've bookended it. I have met the 2 greatest comic creators of all times, and there really is a genuine affection from Stan to Jack. So
yeah,
I just love
you just elevated Stan in my head too, like 100%, right? And Stan's one of the other most important figure in comics. There wouldn't be comics today or the MCU without Stan. It's Stan and Jack and what they did together that was so magical back in 1961 and beyond, right? Because they had both already been working in comics. There's something so special about their collaboration that just really set it off, right? Exactly. And I think it even elevated Jack Kirby, because when he left Marvel and he went over to DC, he did some of the best work of his career solo I'd ever seen. Like New Gods to me is like the Bible. Like that is such good, solid stuff. But there was a lot of Lee influence on Kirby and a lot of Kirby influence on Lee. And it's those two together that made comics the way they are. So thank you for sharing that story, Dan. That's super cool. I dig it, digging Dan. Karma Book 2 is on Backer Kit right now. Why don't you tell us about that? Your final plugs here, basically. That and also you got the Dan Wickline show on the EXP. So you can tell us about that as well.
Every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, I do the Dan Wickline show. I cover the latest in pop culture. I kind of take a big topic. One of them was the Batman, the first true film noir superhero movie. Or, this week we just covered all the things that I think we're going to hear from Marvel and DC at San Diego Con about the films and stuff. So we take one topic, we dig deep into it. I cover the news and then do a nice deep dive into stuff like that. So, but that, again, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And then Karma is a continuation of the story, but a lot of the Backer Kit option, there is ways to get the first issue, whether you want physical or a digital copy. There's a digital bundle of both. There's physical copies. We've got covers by Stepan Sejic, Mirka Andolfo, and Michael D. Pascal. This is volume 1 here. Volume 2, they all came back. Carlos Renault is the interior artist. He came back as well, did an amazing job. And right now we're on doing Comictopia, which is this Backer Kit thing that has 28 different comics, all kind of interconnected in that, if you buy multiple books, you get a bonus comic. They're teamed up with things. It's a really neat little package. Zenoscope is doing a Cinderella omnibus. Steve Rude is doing a Nexus trade. We just passed Steve Rude on the ranking of total backers, and that is just a thrill for me. And I love Steve. But it was like, but Karma, it's a 120-page graphic novel for adults. This is not to buy your 13-year-old nephew. Well, at least not until he's 18.
Your 13-year-old nephew will love it, though, probably.
You won't see him for a few hours. But it tells the story of a couple, a straight-laced photographer being pulled into the modeling world and her life and just the chaos that goes with the relationship. So think of it as an erotic rom-com, with some serious topics, but overall it's like Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant, but sexier.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. I encourage everybody to go over to Backer Kit and check out the project, and definitely check it out. Like I read Karma Book 1 last night and really thoroughly enjoyed it, Dan. So thank you so much for being here. We're about to bring Alex in to talk about some of the San Diego Comic-Con news that Dynamite's been releasing, because there's been some big news. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be with Alex from Dynamite. All right, y'all. I'm not even kidding you. I really enjoyed Karma Book 1 yesterday. I had told Dan this right before the show, but like I had actually bought one from my girlfriend and she's in the midst of a move. We've been moving her out. So like we just don't know where it is, right? So luckily our friends at Dynamite were able to send me a copy of it to read and I enjoyed it. It's like 130 pages, maybe more. And it just breezed right by. Like I really enjoyed it. And trust me, super, super sexy. Speaking of our friends at Dynamite, though, we're about to bring Alex in because right now Nick Barucci is over at San Diego Comic-Con having the time of his life. He's probably also super busy, but I bet he's also having a lot of fun, right? But there have been some big announcements from Dynamite, and Alex is coming in to talk to us about them. So what's up, Alex? How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm good. I'm just
what are you reading there? You reading Karma? What are you reading?
I mean, it's great, and actually, it's a good segue because I might as well start with this. One of our first announcements was Karma 2 kicking off the campaign on Backer Kit. Sorry, Robbie, I'm still reeling from the movie last night, so...
Oh, did you watch it? Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yep. And again, guys, don't worry, no spoilers. We never do that to you, ever. We would not do that to you, but...
That's fine. I mean, I actually haven't gotten any spoilers. All I see online has been people saying, no spoilers, no spoilers. I'm going to go watch it Sunday morning, but I'm hearing from my friends that they really dig in the film. So that's cool. Did you like it overall?
I've even seen on some sites that would normally spoil it. Like people are just being respectful and I haven't. I've also seen Ryan Reynolds comment that somebody spoiled something major somewhere, but I haven't seen what that was or where it was. But everything I've seen, even on Facebook, everyone's been super respectful, even in the comic book groups. Like, hey, this book is hot now because of this. Well, I mean, they're being respectful. So it's just good. It's just so good.
So you liked it?
Yeah, very, very, very much so.
Okay. And everybody needs to stay till the very, very end, right?
So absolutely, the post-credit scene is hilarious, and it makes the movie so much better. But I'll say this, but this is not a spoiler. There is a mid-credits. It's not a scene, but it's something very special they did during the mid-credits, and I teared up immediately, and it was very, very, very special what they did during the mid-credits. So when you guys see the movie, what they do during the mid-credits, I hope you enjoy that. It's basically it's a love letter almost. It's beautiful, and it was very special. And I'm specifically talking about the mid-credits thing they did. So when you see it, I hope we can talk about it on Monday or so. So, well, a non-spoiler talk on Monday, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Rogue Collecting, don't worry. You'll get to hear my full thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine Sunday night on Rockin' Robbie Live. All right, Alex. Y'all have got some big announcements, man. There are a couple that really got me excited. So let's go over, man. What you want to talk about?
Announcements. So yeah, let's just start again with Karma. Karma Volume 2 has been announced, as you guys saw earlier. It is on Backer Kit during a special promotion called Comictopia. Basically, all these publishers and creators are coming together for 28 different crowd-backed projects. So we definitely encourage you to check out Karma, but we really also encourage you to check out all 27 other projects because there's some really, really cool stuff, really great stuff for the community. And almost all of these are smaller independent projects that will need funding to get done. And they're really cool and very exciting. So Karma Volume 2 will be out at some point in the next couple months after funding. I'm trying to see if there's a specific date. But if you're following the Backer Kit, all the announcements will be on there. So stay tuned to that. I'm going to go over all the announcements, Robbie. So there might have been one or two we talked about last week, but I just want to make sure that anybody watching this doesn't miss anything. So our next announcement, brand new Space Vixen series, Vampirella. That's right, Vampirellas new adventures from Blake Northcott and Anna Morozova. And as we talked about last week, Vampirella is a very pulpy, very campy, 50s, 60-ish, basically female empowerment in space. And the sci-fi aspect is really, really fun and really cool to this. So Vampirella will also be getting a new movie as well. with Sydney Sweeney, and that's going to be super exciting. So hopefully the movie will bring new readers in to experience the very rich history that Barbarella.
Let me tell you something. Sydney Sweeney's in a Barbarella movie, it's going to bring people into the character, into the genre. And so right now is your chance to get all the previous Barbarella books and the new one that's about to come out before they blow up. Because if anybody can blow up a movie, it's Sydney Sweeney, bro.
That's absolutely true. I've already seen these covers. Covers by Linsner. Who else is there? I mean, it looks awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the covers, there's a really cool Rachel Holland cosplay. But very exciting. It'll be solicited in August 2024, and it'll be available in October. So check out Barbarella for really cool a new sci-fi adventure.
That makes me think that we need to cover Barbarella on PCP movie night some night. The original film. That would be so much fun.
That'd be cool. I mean, there's going to be a lot more eyes on the movie, of course, on that movie. Because who knows what this new movie will be? Is it going to be a sequel? Is it going to be a prequel? I mean, I have no idea. I'm sure it'll be a reboot. But, they can't not reference or at least pay homage to the original movie that literally started it all. So
yeah, and they better use a Duran Duran song, bro. Because whenever I think of Barbarella, I think of their song "Electric Barbarella" from the '90s, which was my first Duran Duran song that I super got into. So yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be cool. All right, the next big one is pretty fun. Sugar, Spice, and Everything Nice has already come together with Kelly Thompson and Pauline Uganu-Chow for the first issue. Starting with issue number 4, however, Paulina Uganu-Chow will be taking over writing duties and art. So we're super excited for that. Pauline is awesome. It'll be a really cool series. I know at least for the first 3 issues, they're all self-contained stories. I'm pretty sure that starting with issue 4, it's going to be more serialized and tell a bigger story. That's going to be exciting because it says artist Sylvia de Ventura for the next 3 chapters. So I believe it should be serialized, at least those next 3. But again, Powerpuff Girls back in comic books for the first time in 8 years. Very exciting to see. I know Amy is super happy, super exciting. And issue 1 was fun. I mean, it's a fun series. It's not serious. It's just fun.
Yeah.
So
it's very much like the original cartoon, right?
Absolutely.
Like anybody who loved that original cartoon, you're gonna love the Dynamite book because it's just that same level of fun. The characters, it's a book that, it's not a super serious book, but it doesn't mean it's a book that's not taken seriously, right?
Absolutely.
This book is really trying to replicate what made Powerpuff Girls so successful, and you're doing it so far in the first issue excellently well, and I'm excited to see where it develops. I just saw Ken Hazer share one of his upcoming covers, and it's amazing, it's so good, dude. So yeah, absolutely check out Powerpuff Girls. It's one of my favorite books of the week.
Ken was here the other day and he's like, I'm finishing up a Powerpuff Girls cover that I just started. I'm like, well, I'm super excited because Ken has a realistic cartoony style. Like, it's cartoony, but I love Ken's art so much. I love Ken's coloring. I mean, he's one of my favorite colorists, even though he's not a colorist, but just the way he does his art, I love it. And so me and Ken were talking, I was like, with Powerpuff Girls, because it's that animated style, they're all going to look very much like the show, and it's a very good image. And I saw his cover, and it looks great, and then he banged that thing out super quickly, and it's just super exciting to see how good, Powerpuff Girls are super. I don't want to say super easy because I can't draw, but like, it's simple line art. That's the animated style. It's simple line art, and all the covers have looked so good, and the coloring on this book is amazing.
Yeah, and Ken had some really great composition too. The cover I saw involved Mojo Jojo. Do you know who voiced Mojo Jojo?
I'm blanking. Remind me.
It's Roger Jackson, who is also the voice of Ghostface in every Scream movie. Think about that, bruh.
Mojo Jojo. So, listen, I'm super excited for him. He's my favorite green monkey.
Me too.
Oh, he's an 8. So let's segue to something a little bit more serious and dark. How about Army of Darkness? We announced that the series is continuing with one special finale issue. Army of Darkness gets issue number 13 by writer Tony Fleeks to bring the canon to a close. Super exciting. As you said, this has been the best Army of Darkness comic to ever come out. Army of Darkness Forever. And it was supposed to end with issue 12, but the whole creative team is coming together for issue 13 for a grand finale. And it's super, super exciting. So,
I feel like Tony showed up and he goes, but this Army of Darkness goes to 13. It's kind of like the Spinal Tap moment, right?
Army of Darkness.
By the way, Tony, happy belated birthday to Tony. Tony's birthday was Wednesday. He dropped 4 comics on Wednesday. Local Man, Uncanny Valley, Army of Darkness Forever, and Feral. And Feral made the pick of the week. So happy birthday to Tony.
What number is Feral up to right now? 4?
4.
5?
4.
4. Okay. I stopped after issue 2 because I wasn't able to have access to them. So I have to catch up at 3 and 4 because I love.
Oh, dude, 4 literally almost killed me inside, man.
Oh, no.
It's a zombie movie, basically, right? So it's gonna happen. Happy birthday, Tony.
Happy birthday, Tony. So our next big announcement goes back to Powerpuff Girls, actually. And we're going to celebrate with sugar and pumpkin spice because Powerpuff Girls is getting a Halloween special. That is right. Amanda Diebert and Kat Staggs writing and drawing. And this is super exciting because we got covers by Kat Staggs, Trish Forstner, and Sylvia DiVentura. And this is just super exciting because Halloween specials are always fun. I mean, the Gargoyles Halloween special last year was great. A lot of positive feedback on that. And this Powerpuff Girls Halloween special should be very exciting. And, of course, this comes out in October for Halloween. So
I always love a good Halloween special, so, yeah.
So that's exciting. Again, Powerpuff Girls Halloween special coming out in October. All right. Our first panel announcement, and I believe these are in West Coast times. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you're probably not at San Diego, so this announcement might not mean something specific to you. However, Dynamite is doing a Disney panel, our Dynamite Disney panel, Sunday, July 28th, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. It's room 23 ABC. 23 ABC. I think that's right. But panel guests will include our executive editor, Joseph Ryband, along with Amanda Diebert, Darkwing Duck, Sweeney Boo, Cruella de Vil, Sue Lee, Maleficent, and Darkwing Duck creator, Tad Stones. So it's definitely going to be an all-star Disney Dynamite lineup. Sunday, 28th, 11:30 a.m. I do believe that is Pacific time. But if you're at San Diego Comic-Con, just double confirm so you're not at someone else's panel at 2:30 instead.
Sounds like a stacked panel, bro.
Super excited. This next one, Robbie, I am personally really, really excited for. You know, I'm made of bone. I'm not made of metal. But you know who is made of metal? The Terminator. And Dynamite is launching a brand new Terminator series. Declan Shalvey is writing. Luke Sparrow is the artist. This is really, really great. Now, here's the pitch. The war. Wait, hold on. Let me find it. Right. The plans to kill Sarah Connor and her son John have failed, but that isn't going to stop the genocidal Skynet. If it at first doesn't succeed, it's going to expand the theater of operations. There are still a few more avenues into the past to try that will allow it to eliminate the human resistance before it even starts. Skynet and its Terminators are determined to stamp out these pivotal figures in history before they lead to their processors being smashed into silicon shrapnel. So, I mean, Declan Shalvey has killed him with Thundercats. So we're super excited to see his take on Terminator. This is going to be great. Covers are
I'm very excited for that.
And, of course, I'm sure there will be, but the metal covers on this, I can't even wait to see what the metal covers for a Terminator comic will be. So it's going to be super exciting. One sec. I believe. Okay. It will be solicited in August for release in October.
I'll go ahead and make this announcement. I'm a big Terminator fan myself, and next year, to kick off Action Fest 2025 here on Pop Culture Philosophers, we're going to be talking about the entire Terminator franchise. So, yeah.
I do want to say this. Terminator comic books and the Terminator have a very long, rich franchise. I mean, Terminator featured Alex Ross's first published work.
Yep.
So
you got Walt Simonson, Frank Miller thrown in there doing work on Terminator books. Like, it's a big deal. Like, there's been some of the greatest creators in comic book history have worked on the Terminator.
So here's the slight issue with the Terminator franchise and comic books. There are so many timelines and books. It's extremely hard to keep track overall. Now, there is actually a website that I found. I forget it offhand. It's not hard to find. But it shows all the continuities. So it would be like Terminator 1. Here's the prequels. Here's the books after. Then it would be Terminator 1. But here is this other series that went in a different direction. So it's the same up to here, but here's an alternate. Then it's Terminator 2. This happened, and then this happened. The video game happened here. Terminator 3. I mean, there is 8 to 10 different continuities, and there is a website that tracks each comic book in that continuity, so you don't miss anything. Unfortunately, I don't know it offhand. It's not that hard to find if you Google it, but when I was doing the research, that website was so helpful. I mean, it's like Terminator Genesis. It would be like, this is what's canon for Terminator Genesis. It would be like Terminator 2, this one comic, boom, and then this spin-off comic specifically based on the movie. I'm just doing an example. So Terminator and comic books have a very rich history. I do want to point out that Dynamite has already been funded for its Kickstarter, its backer kit. Terminator comic books, it's getting a re-release of all the old Dark Horse stuff. So we're super excited that will be coming out at some point in the next coming months. I don't have a timetable, but it will be released. So just in time for this new Terminator series, you will be able to catch up with all the old Terminator stuff as well.
That's even better. That's super exciting because there's some really great comics from those days, man.
I mean, Burning Earth is Alex Ross's book, and that's the very famous one that everyone talks about, Burning Earth. But I mean, there's such a rich history in the comics that, if you're a Terminator fan, it's worth it to find this website out. Again, I don't know it offhand, but Terminator timeline, comic continuity, I think will get you there. But trust me, it's worth it. And side note, that website also has 20 or 25 other fandoms that they do the same thing for. So like Jurassic Park, it would show you, the Jurassic Park continuity with all the comic books. So there you go. All right, Robbie. This next one is going to be a visual, okay?
Okay, let's solo you out.
That's right. Please pardon that. But anyway, James Bond is back. Being written by none other than Gail Simone. It is super exciting on this. I mean, she is such a great talent, and she is doing so much right now. She is writing Uncanny X-Men, and she'll be doing this also. So this is very, very exciting. Per her own words, she is a huge fan of Ian Fleming's James Bond. So this is going to be a very cool take. Again, it's going to be different than Garth Ennis's last take, which just ended. That was a more gritty, completely different styles. So if you're a James Bond fan, don't miss out because the books are, if you're a Bond fan and haven't read any Fleming books, you need to because Ian Fleming literally was James Bond. It was, again, they're embellished, but he definitely wrote about his life as a spy. And his writings in the late 50s, early 60s for these Bond books, yes, I did research, were great. And even though there's Bond books being written today, there are a lot of movie tie-ins, stuff like that, but the comic books have a whole different level to it, and it's definitely worth checking out. So the first storyline is titled Iridescent, and she is going to be speaking at Dynamite's 20th anniversary panel, which I thought I was going to talk about that somewhere, and I don't know. But the Dynamite 20th anniversary panel is going to be today, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. in 5AB. Now, I want to assume that it's going to be at 11:30 a.m. West Coast time because, respectfully, I am doubtful that a panel at 8:30 in the morning would be a good panel.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but logically I believe so. If you're at San Diego Comic-Con today, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. your time, West Coast time, room 5AB, will be Dynamite's 20th anniversary panel. I don't know when this book will be released, but we hope to have more information soon after this weekend. So Gail Simone on James Bond. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, the resurgence of Gail Simone. Uncanny X-Men coming soon. Now we got James Bond.
Right. So this next one features an actor. Rising actor Kyle Allen is bringing a unique story and world to Dynamite with his comic, Fiberglass. It's really cool. Let me see if I can get a good summary. Set in a unique vision of New York City that crashes through a neon labyrinth of back alleys and hidden passageway filled with graffiti and heartbreak. Fiberglass will drag you kicking and screaming into the secret lore of the city, where power waits to be taken and history is written in blood. So this should be very exciting. Kyle Allen is a good upcoming actor, and I think we're very excited to see what he can do. I know that Dennis Culver joins them for the project. And Giaffo, if I'm saying that, Giaffo, who worked in Spider-Gwen and Time Before Time, he is doing the art. So this is very exciting. Kyle Allen is a great actor, and we are excited to see where this new announcement goes. Again, that is Kyle Allen with Fiberglass. Speaking of other graphic novels coming out, we have got a really cool one, which is one of the most incredible ones Dynamite has done yet. It's a touch of Goodfellas meets Suits with a touch of a Bronx Tale. It's the last of the Gladiators. It brings true mafia tales to readers with a graphic novel adaptation. So this is very exciting. Upcoming Last of the Gladiators by James M. LaRosa Jr. From 1960s until the turn of the century, New York City was the focal point of organized and white-collar crime across the world. Through 4 fretful decades, the most fearsome mob bosses, assassins, cheating stockbrokers, money launderers, and corrupt bankers, and more, sought legal counsel from the famous Jimmy LaRosa, a prosecutor turned defense attorney who was the lawyer of last resort in fighting a prosecution before the almighty U.S. government. So this would be a very cool mafia-esque book. James M. LaRosa, Jonathan Vankin, and Giorgio Pontrelli. So stay tuned for more announcements from this as we have more information to give. Let's see, what's next? I'm saving the best for last, the one that was announced today, the new titles. We'll get there in a second. There you go. Dynamite's 20th anniversary panel. I found it. Dynamite today, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, so 11:30 a.m. Nick Barucci, of course. Nick will be there at the panel with Joseph Ryband, our executive editor, Kyle Allen and Anders, and as very, very special guest, which I'll jump to that now.
And that's only an hour and a half away, y'all. If you're in San Diego and you are watching this before you go out to the con, get ready for that panel.
So, special guest at the Dynamite at that panel will be our next announcement, which is Sean Gunn brings his original graphic novel Shepherds to Dynamite. That's right, actor Sean Gunn.
James's brother?
Kraglin from Guardians of the Galaxy, Kirk from Gilmore Girls. I mean, Sean Gunn is such a fun, lovable actor, and we are super excited for him to bring his series, Shepherds. So let me find a good. All right, so this is the pitch. I read this. I love this so far. In a near future vision of our world with humans seemingly missing in action, Shepherds turned its spotlight to a society of canines trying to survive in their new harsh world. Readers will be brought to the arena, a camp in an old stadium populated by domestic dogs, a few wolves, and their pups. The settlement is guarded by and led by Queen Guadalupe, a melanistic wolf who is fascinated by human art and poetry and inspired by the curious human values of compassion and kindness. She wants to raise a new generation of wolf dogs, a hybrid species built to last. So we are super excited to have Sean Gunn on this project to bring his story to us. It'll be great. More information will be revealed at the panel, but Sean Gunn and Dynamite, it's going to be great.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, bro.
Our final panel announcement is today at 5:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 to 3:30 in Room 10. 2:30 to 3:30 in Room 10. First ever panel, our Warner Brothers panel, breaking down Thundercats, Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, and more. Featuring Declan Shalvey, Joe Ryband, David Pepose, Sue Lee, and Joe Casey. It's going to be a amazing Warner Brothers panel.
That might be one of the best panels they have at San Diego this year, bruh.
I'm super excited to hear the recap. But
I'm serious. Joe Casey, David Pepose, Sue Lee, all in the same panel. That's top notch.
But that leads into this announcement, and this is, I say, the best for last. The big announcement, the major announcement, our new titles with Warner Brothers. Robbie, I'm so excited.
One of these, me and John Cole have been begging for months.
Let's start with that first. And no, it's not Thundar the Barbarian, because DuckTales and Thundar were released last week for the first time, I think, ever. Herculoids as a comic book. This is going to be so exciting. I mean, as a toy collector and as a fan, knowing how much limited Herculoids merchandise there is, the Herculoids set of toys, the 3-part set,
yeah,
those sell for $400 or more. Like, those are crazy rare, crazy tough pieces to get. And there's just not a lot of merchandise for Herculoids. So this is super duper exciting. So exciting for that.
Yeah, it really is. I got into Herculoids when Cartoon Network first started, and they were playing all that old school stuff. And like, that was the first time I watched like Thundar and Herculoids and stuff like that, and just fell into that world. And of course, knowing now Kirby's involvement of that and the respect that Dynamite has given Kirby in the past, especially with books like Kirby Genesis and stuff like that. Like, I am so excited for this book and what it's going to be.
It's going to be great. This Hanna-Barbera stuff's been great. I'm super excited. But this next one was a project that I asked Nick if we could do at some point. Now, I'm not saying that I was in charge, like this is because of me, but I said as soon as I could, I was like, Nick, if this is a possibility, we got to look into this. Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. Go planet! By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. And that's right. Captain Planet is getting a new comic book series. I am...
Bro, I haven't even heard this announcement yet. Are you serious? Captain Planet? Do we have a creative team attached to this yet?
I do not. For Captain Planet, nothing on Captain Planet yet.
But, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's the thing. Let me just break kayfabe for a second, okay? One of the first times we ever had David Pepose on my channel, this dude told me how much he loved Captain Planet because he saw my Captain Planet action figure behind me. And after our show, he was like, oh no, seriously, I have a pitch for a Captain Planet book. Then one day on the EXP, I told Nick Barucci that David Pepose has got a Captain Planet thing, so I need you to look into who has the Captain Planet licenses. And he says he would check. I'm not trying to say anything, but man.
No, I think what you're trying to say is you and me made this happen. So
I think me and you made this happen, brother.
I mean, I didn't watch a ton of the show. There was a lot of episodes, and it got. I mean, it's very environmentally, so it's kind of like.
That was that early 90s though, like pro environment movement, right? Like all the planet, like all the planets, all of the shows were about that kind of stuff, right? You had Toxic Crusaders, you had Captain Planet, you even had TMNT going into some of that stuff, right?
I mean, but I can see the first episode in my head.
Brother, I swear to the gods, if y'all announce David Pepose on Captain Planet at some point this weekend and he's on the Warner Brothers panel, dude, Alex doesn't even know that I'm trying to say that. I'm trying to say, if y'all announce Captain Planet written by David Pepose, I am going to own that. Like we made that. Like me and you, Alex. Like we made that happen.
So I don't know if that's been announced yet, but it'll be exciting. And it'll be exciting to see what he'll do in the what.
Wait a second. Do you know who the writer is, but you can't announce it?
No, in fact, I didn't even know this was being announced. I got an email yesterday for the embargo that it was going to be announced today, and I was
Captain
like,
Planet? I don't know if it's been announced yet, brother.
No, it was announced 9 a.m. this morning.
I was asleep. All right, go ahead.
But
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to. I'm stepping all over you, man, right now. But it's okay.
This is so exciting. This is exciting. I mean, we put out Thundercats, Space Ghost, and Powerpuff Girls, and they've done so well.
What? Y'all also, hold on a second. Y'all also announced Ben 10 and Dynamite and Blue Falcon? I didn't know any of that.
I don't want to step on your toes, Alex. Also, let me ruin the last 2 announcements for you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just looking it up right now.
Okay, no, but that was the next two is Ben 10. Benjamin Tenjamin. That's not his name, though. This is Ben 10. Now, I haven't watched Ben 10, but my good friend Will, shout out to Will, he is, and he's been bugging me for us to get this for a while. And this is happening. This is super happening. And now there's no creative team yet for Ben 10. But I can say this. The creator of Ben 10 is Joe Casey. And he is writing Johnny Quest. So it's just...
Yeah, Joe Casey's awesome. He's part of the Man of Action team who created Ben 10, and what I'm seeing here on Bleeding Cool right now is that they are the ones doing the reboot here.
So I don't know. So yes, now I don't know what the storyline is going to be, if it's a reboot itself, or if it's going to be related at all. All I know is that it's just going to be new Ben 10 content. So, I mean, Thundercats did super well. I mean, you kind of had to reboot Thundercats for all the history and bring it in. I don't know what they're going to do for Ben 10. I don't. But I just know that this is very exciting for Ben 10. So the last one, though, is Dynamite and Blue Falcon. And that's right. Another Hanna-Barbera title. I'm trying to see if there's a creative team.
I see Thompson Nagowski mentioned involving those ones.
Yes.
On Herculoids.
No, so Herculoids will be written by Tom Nagowski. That is definitely happening. But no other creative team has been announced or anything else. So
yeah,
that. I mean, but there, I'm sure.
I'm sorry. This is me being live, dude. Like, I didn't even know about some of those announcements. I didn't know about the Captain Planet one yet. So, like,
to give you a hint, neither did I, that it was official. So yes, I had the email. So I'm saying,
brother, I'm telling you, man. I think I helped make. I think we made this project happen, Alex. If you mentioned it to Nick, and I had mentioned it to Nick already, and if whatever, I'm sorry. This is real. Like, I'm about to my mind will be blown if a certain writer gets announced for Captain Planet. That means I feel like I made that happen, but that's just me. But I don't know.
I mean, there hasn't been any Captain Planet content in such a long time. I mean, the last Captain Planet in the main media. Let's see if you remember. Do you remember what the last time Captain Planet was in the mainstream media for, or was referenced?
Are you talking about the Don Cheadle thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. There was the animated series, right? And I think there was a comic too, and the toy line. The toy line I loved. I loved the toy line because all the figures came with a ring. Right?
Yes, there was the original Marvel comic, and yeah, the original had a ring, and there was a Captain Planet, and you pushed a button, and his chest lit up, and then there was a silver version, and I had both of those, and I gotta find them, but
brother, that's awesome, dude. Dude, I'm telling you what, the Captain Planet, y'all. Dynamite is killing it. Like Chocos keeps saying out in the chat, like y'all aren't even kidding. Y'all are literally killing it. Y'all are going after licenses. Like, here's the other thing is, like, Captain Planet had a slime toy, right? The pollution chamber or whatever it was. But like any toy that had a slime feature was one of my favorite things. I loved Captain Planet, dude. I'm so freaking excited right now.
The Spider-Man playset, the Daily Planet playset, with the ooze on the top, with that
with all the like the cardboard setups and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
Like the only reason I know I had that playset, is because I had that drum for so long after, and I had that. There was a little gray like funnel, or like a little hose that went onto the bottom of the thing. So when you put the slime in, you would turn it on and off, it would come up. I lost the thing, so I had that little piece. I still have it with like Captain Planet figures somewhere, even though it's Spider-Man related. I have all those toys together, but I mean, just having this new life back to these properties is just super duper exciting, and it's just like, I'm thrilled that we were able to talk about this. And I hope
we get Bizarro Captain Planet and this Don Cheadle, right? Like, and it's just like everybody's a tree. Dude, that thing was so funny, man. That was
the funniest. If you're a Captain Planet fan, okay, if you're not a Captain Planet fan, you do two things. You watch the pilot episode, or maybe the first 2 or 3, just so you understand the series and learn the characters. And then you watch the Don Cheadle, and you will laugh your butt off because it's such a good parody, but it's so accurate and funny. And Don Cheadle legitimately could be a Captain Planet. And it's just hilarious. So check that out. But again, so many Dynamite announcements at San Diego Comic-Con. It's been so exciting being able to talk about this stuff finally, and all these announcements. I mean, the next couple months, the next year is just going to be so much fun for Dynamite.
All right, Dynamite fans, get ready because it's not over. We've already had Thundercats, Powerpuff Girls. We've had the Disney stuff. It's barely even started, y'all. It's like Captain Planet is on the way. Herculoids, Thundar. There's some really great properties coming out. DuckTales comics. Woohoo! One of my favorite cartoons of all time is DuckTales. So, y'all, we are super, super excited for the future of Dynamite right now here.
And I believe DuckTales is going to be based off the original 86 cartoon. So,
as it should be, brother.
Very exciting. So,
as it should be. Alex, thank you so much for sharing this information. I'm sorry I was stepping all over you at the end there, man, but I got too excited, man.
When comic book news is that exciting that you literally can't contain it, it's a win for the entire community, you know? It's just like, it's super exciting because I know the Ben 10 fans have wanted more content. There's never ever been a Thundar the Barbarian comic ever. There was pitches and there was a prototypes at Gold Key or Whitman, I believe, but they never got made. Herculoids, I don't think Herculoids has had a comic book. I
don't think so either. Because like even when DC was doing that stuff, they did a Space Ghost comic, they did Future Quest, they did Blue Falcon, they did Dynamite stuff, but they never touched Thundar or Herculoids, man. And those are fan favorites, bruh. I get comic book customers of mine at my shop of a certain age. They are craving this content, man.
I mean, I feel like this is a love letter to the people that grew up, people that are a little bit older and just want to relive some childhood memories. And I think with Thundercats, Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Dynamite is giving you the nostalgia that you love. And speaking of nostalgia you love, that's a good segue. Go see the movie when you can.
Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm going Sunday morning. We'll talk about it on Rockin' Robbie Live on Sunday night. Joe Casey is one of my favorite writers in comics, and we had him on the show not too long ago. And he actually made the first official announcement. It was breaking news on PCP that he was doing Johnny Quest. And now knowing that Ben 10 is coming and his involvement in that, like one of the workers at my comic shop, little Davey, right? Davey was like, tell Joe Casey, thank you for Ben 10. Now, Ben 10 was after my era, right?
Yeah.
But I did talk to Joe a little bit about that, which he worked on with Steven Seagal, and he worked on with Duncan Rouleau, and he worked on with Joe Kelly. And it seems like Man of Action's got a reinvention on the horizon. So I'm very, very excited for that stuff. But yeah, hopefully we'll have Joe here on one of these Friday morning shows. This was the inaugural episode of Dynamite Conversations. We had Dan Wickline talking about Karma Book 2, and we had Alex talking about all these incredibly insane San Diego Comic-Con announcements from Dynamite. Alex, thank you so much for being here, man. Any final thoughts?
Robbie, I appreciate you having me and having these talks, because, I mean, this is the fact that I'm not there. Listen, all my friends have been posting the same meme. And so here's the meme that I'm talking. I want to be where the people are. And it's a San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm not there. So
neither am I, man. We have to settle for this, Alex.
But I mean, of course, I'll have some cons coming up next month. Terrificon. I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to. But San Diego Comic-Con is the big one. It's on my bucket list to go at some point. And if we can't be there, the next best thing is sharing the news as soon as possible. So if you're watching, you heard it here first, I hope. But thanks for watching. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Stay tuned for so much more Dynamite stuff.
Alex, we have displayed so much power today. If me and you can make a Captain Planet book happen, right? Then this is the next thing we're going to make happen. Alex and Robbie, sponsored by Dynamite. Dynamite's going to send us to Comic-Con next year, bro, so that we can cover it together in collaboration of both of our entities, PCP and Dynamite Entertainment, right? That's what's going to happen next year, Alex.
On the red carpet. Or Holly.
Let's go. I've never been to California, y'all. Let's make it happen.
The Marvel, I would say this. I think the Marvel panel is Sunday, so I think they did that so that they could have everybody that it wants to Thursday, Friday, Saturday see Deadpool. I think they're gonna have some crazy announcements. Again, no spoilers, but they already had an actor or actress. One of them, I'm not going to say what it was, male or female, but one of them already joined Ryan Reynolds somewhere for something. So I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday for the Marvel panel, but I think it's going to be crazy because they initially weren't going to do a panel, and then they added this last minute.
Yeah, and they haven't had a presence at San Diego in a couple of years. So yeah, this is the moment that we're paying attention to Marvel right now. Because DC's got a lot of people excited right now with James Gunn and what they're doing and their comic line. This is the moment for Marvel to really capture people that are starting to kind of dive off, man, to be honest with you, man. But if they make some announcements about, we got a Blade writer, the script is done, we got a Blade, like Blade is happening. And that's one of the rumors I'm hearing. Is that we're actually doing Blade, but we'll see.
It's John Cena. Wait, so this is Pop Culture Philosophers. I do want to mention one pop culture thing that I just think is really, really, really cool. Right now in Heritage Auctions, they're right in their auction. They have a costume auction right now, and they're auctioning off. I saw three major pieces. I saw the original Mando helmet from season 1, I mean, like the actual helmet, the actual helmet that Pedro wore. That's up for sale. They have oh my God, I can't even say this because I want it so bad. They have the original White Ranger, or the Americanized, the White Ranger, Power Ranger costume that Jason David Frank wore, and the Red Ranger too. But the original White Ranger costume,
Wow.
Oh my God. And finally, they have Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia bikini for sale right now. When I last checked, I think it was up to $32,000. So I'm not, but it's just cool to see just cool memorabilia and props like that out in the public. So check that out. But anyway,
yeah, super cool.
Appreciate you having me on, and hope to talk to you again very soon.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you so much. You out there in the chat, thank you so much. If you're watching on the replay, check out the links below for all of the stuff coming up, including the Karma Book 2 backer kit, as well as the Vampirella Kickstarter going on right now, and a few other projects, all that stuff in the links below. Check out the original art show tonight with a special guest host. Check us out on Monday night over at The Experience, and check us out for the conclusion of Action Fest on Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. Here on Pop Culture Philosophers, we're talking about the Dark Knight trilogy, and then we're taking a 2-week break, and we're coming back for Horror Fest. And look at that lineup, y'all. Over 50 movies across 3 channels on 35 shows. It's going to be great. It's going to be banging, and it's going to be awesome. Station